and it is leg day. But rather than go in and focus on the same things I've been focusing on, I thought it would be fun to mix things up a bit. I want to break through some plateaus, I want to mix up my off season, and I want to burn a little bit more calories. So what's the answer? Supersets, circuits, and giant sets. And here, rather than doing 4 to 5 sets, I'm going to be doing 3 sets of everything. My rep range is higher. It's not 6 to 8 today. It is 12 to 15 reps. This is going to help break through any plateaus, and I encourage you, if you're doing the same thing or if you've been doing the same thing, mix it up. Take your workouts and maybe flip the order of your workouts, change your rep ranges. If you're doing straight sets, switch to supersets and circuits just for a couple weeks. It's really going to help out. So without further ado, let's get into the gym and move some weights. The first compound set is a machine squat, followed by death marches. Machine squats are great. It encourages you to use proper form. It eliminates the use of stabilizers and can take the pressure off your lower back. If you don't have this machine, feel free to substitute landmine squats. It does about the same thing. It's going to encourage proper form, and it's going to help take the load off of your back and off your knees. So here the focus is to really feel it in the quads on the way down, squeeze the glutes and hamstrings on the way up. And even though I'm doing a ton of reps, focusing on proper form, and everything is slow and controlled, so you don't want to waste any rep. Even though you're doing high reps, you still want to target the muscle group you intend. Now, death marches. If you're not familiar with these, grab a couple of light dumbbells. I've got 15s here. Take a step forward, bend down with the dumbbells, and touch your lead leg on either side. And with this, make sure you're keeping your hips flat. Don't allow them to shear. And make sure you're moving evenly on left side and right side. Keep your back flat, keep your shoulders back. It's a really good substitute for lunges, and it's going to light up your entire posterior chain, especially if you've never done these before. I was reading a T-Nation article, and they had these as an example, and I love to hate them. So again, make sure you've got a slight bend to your knee. Make sure you're touching the dumbbell on either side of your foot. Make sure you're using proper form. So I'm going to work those glutes and those hamstrings, get the heart rate up, which is awesome for your off-season training. So you want to get a little bit of cardio in while you're lifting weights, so you don't have to get on that treadmill. The next superset is going to be Zercher squats with dumbbell RDLs. If you're not familiar with a Zercher squat, start with a Smith machine and start with no weight. I like to use a pad on my arms because I'm a delicate flower. No, the bar can really hurt, so definitely make sure you use a pad or a towel. And here, 25s on each side. I'm not going super heavy. I'm using kind of a sumo stance because that allows me to drop down below parallel. Anytime you get the upper leg below parallel, it's going to help you engage those glutes. So this is an awesome exercise for glutes. Make sure you're pushing your weight through your heels, and make sure you keep your upper body nice and tall. So you're not going to be able to go as heavy with this just because you're holding the weight in front of you, but it's a very different load for the weight. So you're going to feel it definitely in those glutes and in those hamstrings. Now onto the dumbbell RDL. Here, feet about shoulder width apart, and you'll notice when I bend down, I've got the dumbbells at my sides rather than keeping them in front of me. And by doing this, I feel it's gonna hit the hamstrings a little bit better. And I like to keep my head down because that encourages me to keep my back flat. If you keep your head up, or if you look up, you have a tendency of arching the lower back, and that can cause you to not engage those glutes and hamstrings as well as if you were to keep your head down and keep your back flat. So weights through the heels on this, and this helps work that that glute ham tie-in. So really nice for hamstring development and glute development. And again, with the high reps, make sure you're controlling your movements here. You don't want to use momentum. You want to make every rep count. If you're doing 3 reps or 15 reps. So next we're on to a giant set. So we're gonna be doing sissy squat with a seated calf raise with reverse lunges. If you don't have a sissy squat machine, which a lot of gyms don't have, then lower the Smith machine to about calf height. You can put a pad on the Smith machine and take a 45-pound plate and secure it. Secure your feet with the plate so you have something secure to lean up against as you're squatting down. Now, if you don't have that or you don't want to do that, you can also use the pad from the leg extension machine, as long as you have some place to secure your feet. I'm thinking about keeping my upper body nice and tall, sitting straight back. And by sitting back, rather than allowing my upper body to come forward, I'm really placing the emphasis on those quads. So if you do this, you're gonna feel it from the top to the bottom of the quad. You're also gonna feel it in that quad sweep area. So this is an awesome sculpting exercise, and I feel like it's a really nice substitute for leg extensions. Onto seated calf raise. I like to use a mid-rep pause with these because I feel like the calves are used to a certain movement throughout the day. So they're used to running and walking. If you do something that the muscle is not necessarily used to, I think there's a tendency for better progress and better growth. So here I'm thinking about not only lifting my heels up, but almost pushing my heels forward to the mirror. And with that mid-rep pause, really squeezing those calves and really feeling it. I'm going lighter weight here since I'm doing a lot more reps, 25s on each side rather than 45s, but still controlling that movement. And here I've got a 25-pound plate and I'm just stepping straight back with a reverse lunge. This is an awesome way to keep your heart rate up and to tone the legs. So awesome for off season. I keep the weight tall and in front of me and in the center. And make sure with the reverse lunges or anytime you're doing a lunge that you keep your knee over your foot. Don't allow your knee to cave in. So really pay attention to what your legs are doing. You'll notice everything is nice and straight, and that prevents knee problems. But if your knees have a tendency of caving in, either go slower or strengthen your legs enough to where you can start doing these properly, and it'll help you avoid problems in the future. So depending on the upper body, you should feel that. If you're leaning forward, you'll feel a lot more in your quads. Leaning backward, you'll feel. The next compound set is a lying leg curl and a standing bodyweight calf raise burnout. So the lying leg curl here, I'm using a little bit more weight than I normally would. I'm controlling the negative and I'm almost cheating the way up. And I'm doing this because I'm trying to gain strength, and the best way to gain strength is by doing forced negatives. So here you'll notice I'm using I'm recruiting other muscle groups to get that weight up, but I'm controlling the negative with my hamstrings. And if you want to further isolate your hamstrings on this, on the negative, point your toes. And this will take your calves completely out of the equation. But here I'm just trying to burn some calories. I'm trying to get those hamstrings a little bit stronger. So it's a work in progress there. Onto standing calf raises. And for this exercise, since I don't have any weight on me, so I'm not loaded down, I'm going to go ahead and lock out my knees, and I'm going to stand up, and at points I'm going to lean back slightly. And here you'll see as I'm leaning back, I'm focusing on pushing my heels forward rather than bringing my heels up. And by pushing those heels forward, you're really engaging those calves. And I found, since my calves are kind of a lagging muscle group, since I started doing this, I've noticed they're growing a lot more. So you can lock your knees out, push those heels forward rather than thinking about raising them. That definitely burned some calories, and I got some good cardio in. Give that workout a try and let me know what you think. Also, if you have any questions or comments or need exercise substitutions, please comment below and please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Until next time, train hard, y'all.